Hey, what's going on, everybody? Mr. Richard here, and today we have a special guest, Miss Renee here, the grant queen, the grant specialist. She has put me on to so much game. Every time I talk to her, I feel like I learn more and more and more, and I am thirsty for this knowledge, as should you be, because anytime it's free money out there or a free program out there, you should be doing everything in your power to be capitalizing on this and utilizing these programs because they're out there for you and for me and for her if she don't take them all, but I'm sure there's tons of them out there. So we did talk about her, about her upbringing and all her accomplishments. And then she talked about the many different grant opportunities out there. But so let's get started and start talking about different ways to get funded or different grants that's out there, different ones that's available. Because she said there's different certain demographics you can talk about, certain areas, certain expertise, and let's dive into those. And so let's see what we can learn and how this stuff can apply to us, because that's what's important at the end of the day. So
Absolutely. And so if I were sitting in your shoes and I have never, ever, ever applied for grant funding, let me share with you the step-by-step process. So step number one is something that you should already have done as an entrepreneur, which means that you have a list of what are all your expenses right now. Like, what do you need grant funding for right now? So I'm going to encourage you to make a list of all the things that you need grant funding for. Operational expenses, marketing, advertising, hiring new staff, equipment, supplies. Make a list of all the different things that you need grant funding for, because that's actually how you find grant funding, is that you have to have a need in order to be able to get access to these different grants. So once you're clear about the different types of funds you actually need, the next step is for you to start doing some research to identify what are those grant funding opportunities that are available specifically for the type of needs that you actually have. And then once we actually do that research, then we start kind of, again, taking that assessment of who you are and start looking for those grants that fit you as a founder, and those grants that are available specifically for the industry that you're in. If you're in trucking, if you're in real estate, childcare, you want to get grants for land, really start doing some serious research to identify those particular opportunities. And one of the tools that we use to find a lot of right now grants, Rich, I'm gonna give them the T right now, is we actually use artificial intelligence. We actually use ChatGPT, and we ask our chat box to act like a grant writer, and we're looking for these particular grants. We give our chat box all this information about us and our background. So now guess what our chat box is doing us, is giving us specific grants that fit our specific needs. So you could do that on ChatGPT, but you can also do that on Gemini. The wonderful thing about both of these platforms now is that they actually give you the link of where you can actually find the opportunity. So it's not like it was when you first started out. Now it's so robust that we are able to find specific opportunities that are specifically for the need that you have as a business owner.
okay, okay. So let me get this straight. I can go to Gemini, ChatGPT. I can put in my, I guess, demographic or my needs as a entrepreneur or a business owner, and it will, do its little magic, do its little thing, and it will send me, according to what I put in there, it'll send me like links or to where I can go apply for certain grants. So it's almost like it almost does it for you, right? And then you was talking about five. If you just do five, you do five every Friday, or you just look for five every Friday and apply for five. Because
Yeah.
there's power in quantity, people, right? If you did five every Friday and you did five every Friday for five, we'll do a 5-week challenge or something. I'm sure, 5 times 5 weeks, 25 grants, and the it's writing it for you in theory, right? Or it's finding the ones tailored specifically to you. So why wouldn't you do that, right? All you got to do is sit down and kind of know how to do it. And I'm sure it's probably a little learning curve initially, but after a while, I'm sure you probably get a hold of it. Man, I think I'm gonna just integrate this into my systems anyways, right? I mean, you probably just wake up and just you don't you probably don't have to do it on Friday, but I do like that you pick out a specific day to kind of do it. So yeah,
Yeah, because as a business owner, we should have dedicated time that we're focusing on getting the money. Not being a paper pusher or just kind of administrative, like you're all doing all this admin stuff, but you're not really focusing on doing the work to produce the income that you need. And that's why we focus on Funding Friday, which means that we block out all notifications, which means that we are focused on applying for those grants on Friday. And we do anywhere from 3 to 5 grants every single Friday, but we lock out anywhere from 3 to 4 different hours, even though once you actually train your bot, you can actually even train your bot to assist you with actually writing grant funding opportunities. So I encourage everyone to utilize the tools that are out there. And the beautiful thing is that ChatGPT is designed to save you time. And then it also could be a great tool to be able to help you generate income. So I use ChatGPT for proposals. I use it for sponsorships. I use it for grants. I use it to write sales letters. Like I use it for so many different things within my business. But when it comes to grant writing, I teach my clients how to train their bot so that their bot can help them to answer some of these questions when it comes to applying for grant funding. Because when I survey entrepreneurs, they say the same thing. Number one, they don't have the time to do the research. Number two, they don't have the time to apply for grant funding. Number three, they don't know where to go to get access to grant funding. And number four, which is critical, it's the language. Like you know what you want to say. You know how to describe your business. Like you can tell me all day if I'm standing before you, but it's something about writing it out that's a little bit challenging for most people. And that's why we use artificial intelligence, where you're going to train your bot. And if you look at ChatGPT, it has like a little paper clip at the bottom where you can upload your capability statement. You can upload your business plan. So now you're feeding your chat box all this information, which makes it so much easier for them to be able to assist you in answering the questions when it comes to grant funding.
oh man, that's crazy. That's a game changer. It almost takes the aspect of whatever people complain about and it removes it. So only excuse you have is the ability to just do it, right?
Right.
And if you allocate or block out certain times of the week, then you've already, that's the time of the week that you should be spending on that. And now you have the time. You've already blocked it out. Nothing else should be in your way. It's pretty cut and dry once you understand the process. And so I'm sure if when people are going to reach out to you after this and try to learn that system and learn how to do this, and they shouldn't have any more excuses on why they can't get their Gemini or their chat bot up and running and get some stuff going. So
Richard, can I add one other component? Is that the other secret sauce and how we win millions of grants is that we apply for the 500 grant, the 5,000 grant, the $50,000 grant, the $5 million grant. Like we mix it up, and because it's a numbers thing as well. And grant funding is a very competitive process, but the secret sauce is, how do you make sure that your grant funding application is exactly what it is that they're looking for? So remember, when you applied for your last full-time job, you read the job description, and then you made your resume to fit the job opportunity you're applying for. It's the same thing with grant funding. Your application has to look exactly like the type of business that they actually want to give funding for. It has to be something where you're going to have impact with the money that you actually receive.
yeah, I mean, you should tailor it to whatever you're going for. Because I know a lot of people that'll get like a blanket grant statement and they'll say, yo, I submitted it 10 times and I never got anything. Yeah, because it's probably just super generic and it doesn't make any sense to anybody else but you. So yeah, you should try to cater it towards the grants, which now you kind of think about it, that's what people should be doing. But I mean, you talked about a little bit about diversity a little bit in that, like, applying for the $500 and the up to $5 million, because a lot of people just want the big money, right? I want the big numbers, right? But there's money, in the little pots too, right? A win is a win is a win, right? I'll take $500 grants, then keep shooting for a $20,000 grant and never get it. You know what I mean? So you always got to be looking at that. So it talks about different types of money. I mean, you talk about diversity too. Is there like different ways you should be going out and trying to get money and some of this stuff?
Absolutely, especially when it comes to grant funding. I believe that everywhere that you spend money, you should get your money back. So my question to you all is, did you know TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, they all have grant funding opportunities you can tap into? Some of you went to Walmart today. Some of you are going to Target tomorrow or Macy's. Do you know that those entities have grant funding opportunities available as well? So you take an inventory of how you spend your money, Pepsi, Coke, the car companies, right? You think about the way that you spend money, you go to their website and you see what kind of grant funding opportunities do they have available that we can tap into. And let me give you a great example. I have a wonderful relationship with Macy's. And so I have a couple of clients that have actually won the grant through Macy's. Did you all know that Macy's has a grant for entrepreneurs? So the program that I'm talking about is the workshop at Macy's, and you can do research and you can find out more information about it. So if you have a product that you want to put in the Macy's stores or you want to do business with Macy's, they're always looking for entrepreneurs that have innovative products that they want to put inside their store. So step number one, you would apply for the workshop at Macy's. It's just an application you fill out. Once you are selected, then you actually win a grant. And then once you get into the program, it's an accelerator program, which is what I love so much because it's mentorship, it's coaching, it's guidance, it's support, it's all the things that you need in order to make sure you're going to be successful as that entrepreneur, right? So then once you complete the accelerator program, you next have an opportunity to pitch for some additional dollars. Like we all pitch all the time. So we should think about incorporating pitch competitions into what we do. So anyway, with Macy's, you do a pitch. And then did you all know that Macy's has their own financial institution? So they also help entrepreneurs get access to capital. Please tell me that doesn't make sense. I mean, you want these entrepreneurs to be successful when it comes to putting their products in the stores. So why not give them access to the financial resources in order to be able to support these particular entrepreneurs? So when it comes to looking at the diversification of grant funding, we look at government grants. And when we look at government grants, we look at the economic development department in your community. We look at those local grants. We look at those county grants. We look at those federal grants. We look at your state grants, right? So that's one bucket. The second bucket you could tap into also is like these corporate grants, kind of going back to Venmo has a grant, PayPal has a grant, Cash App has a grant also. So all the things that you use, there's corporate grant funding opportunities that are available. Then the next area that we want to look at, we want to also look at those college and university grants. And it's not that you have had to go to this college in order to get access, but there's a lot of college and universities that give grant funding to entrepreneurs in the community that are providing value, that are solving a problem, and are having impact on that particular community. Like I'm a graduate of Norfolk State University, so of course, Missy Elliott and Pharrell, they have these amazing grant funding opportunities that you can tap into as an entrepreneur in the community. The other area that you can tap into is, which is my sweet spot, is those nonprofit grants. So I am a for-profit entity, but I also get access to nonprofits because I do strategic partnerships. I believe in getting off the island of doing everything by myself and identifying some strategic partners where there may be an amazing grant funding opportunity out there, but it's earmarked for a nonprofit, which means that I have to come together with the nonprofit and we do the grant funding application together. And once we win those funds, I get the money for what I do, and then they get the money for what they do as well. So I'm going to encourage you in 2024 and 2025, let's get off the island of doing all this work by ourselves. Let's start looking for those strategic partnerships that can actually work. And Richard, I want to give you a great example of a huge strategic partner. It was a $3.5 million grant to work with military veterans to teach them how to become weatherization technician trainers. I am not a weatherization technician trainer, nor do I have a desire to be one, and nor is it necessary. So we partnered with a local college that actually had a professor there that was really good at weatherization. She wrote a book about weatherization. So we brought her on board with the grant so that she can do the train the trainer program and teach us about weatherization. Then we partnered with a local company that physically does the weatherization every single day. That's all they do all day long is weatherize homes. So we brought them into the grant. And then we partnered with Fort Campbell Family Housing because they had an empty house. I was able to put the veterans on a van and take them to the house. So now they can actually do the hands-on training. And then we had a nonprofit agency that had access to all the military veterans. So doesn't that make sense where all these strategic partners came together in order to fulfill that grant funding opportunity for $3.5 million? And do you want to know why we won the funds? It was because of the strategic partnerships. It's not Renee Bobb coming in and trying to do all things. I'm always looking for really good strategic partners where we can come together as long as it's in alignment for everybody's mission, vision, and goal.
Oh man, that's crazy, man. That's good work right there. It's taking an area that you might not be an expert in, seeing there's a grant in there, seeing there's a need there, and then pulling resources together, and you can kind of oversee it and then ensure that it gets accomplished, right? I mean, it's just good to see that you're out here doing that type of stuff, man. And it's crazy to, I would never even wrap my head around that if you kind of think about it, but I didn't even think that was even a thing. Like I'll normally see a grant, I'll say, oh, wow, this is not applicable to me. I can't even do this, or just like overlooking it because this is not my area of expertise. But I mean, if I have accessibility to those individuals and have accessibility to the individuals who can assist me in getting that done, then now I can start. And I'm sure just by default, I'm sure we can kind of source out different people. You'll be surprised who you do know and don't know once you start looking for people in certain areas. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, so yeah, and it's so crazy that I mean, you was talking about a corporate partner with Macy's and stuff like that. I mean, you was even talking to me about getting grants for corporations and stuff like that, and then they just want to be included in the grant, or they'll give you money to like post a grant, or you were saying something about how like you had a client who created her own grant or something to that extent.
Yes, I'm so excited. We actually launched it yesterday.
Yeah.
And so the name of the grant is called Out of Excuses. And so I'm going to put the link in the chat so people can get access to it. But Out of Excuses is a grant. It's a $3,000 grant for entrepreneurs, for small business owners, right? And so the first thing you think about is, what can I do with that $3,000 that's going to have an impact on my business, right? Am I going to hire somebody for marketing and advertising? Am I going to use it for social media marketing? So what are you going to use the $3,000 for? So anyway, so she created this amazing grant. So every single quarter, she gives an entrepreneur a $3,000 grant. And then every year she gives away $10,000 because she is someone like many of you that are always blessing people and giving people money, right? You know, whether it be to support their business, whether it be to invest in them. So this is another way for her to be able to invest in other types of entrepreneurs is by having this grant funding opportunity. So what she did was she actually has an application fee for you to actually apply for the grant. And of course, she uses those funds for administrative expenses as well. But the beautiful thing is that there are other corporations that don't necessarily want to build out their platform like she has. They actually will pay her to actually strategically partner with her, increase the dollar amount of what she's offering in the grant. So now she's able to give 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, but she's also able to make, a profit off of doing that because she has all those expenses when it comes to actually running the grant. So it gives her a chance to hire more staff. It gives her a chance to do more marketing and advertising. It gives her a chance to reach more people while still supporting entrepreneurs by giving them access to grant funding. Makes so much sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, if you start a grant and then you get sponsors to sponsor your grants, and then you hire more people in your business for the grants, I mean, it's just a great concept. But okay, so I mean, we talked about a multitude of things, right? Corporate sponsorships, getting the funding, setting up, allocating so many times throughout the day. Okay, and then we're gonna take a quick pause, and then we're gonna come back, and then we're gonna get into how you wrote a book and how you get into becoming, how you became an author, and how that whole process started, and how you can use your book writing skills in order to help you get grants or land grants, and if you can make money from your books in grant writing. So please make sure you're following, click on the next video, make sure you're liking and following, because we got some good stuff.